All right, good morning, everyone. My computer says it's a couple minutes or about a minute till 11, but my other phone and what have you shows me that it's 11 promptly here. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We're welcome to all of you. We're here to talk about liability payments, including pass-throughs and 941 payments. We're going to work until about 11:20 Eastern Time here this morning. I will definitely be wrapping up my whatever it is I'm discussing by no later than 11:20, and then I'll be happy to stick around and answer questions that we may or may not have already answered during the webinar event for you. If you do have questions, please type those into the questions portion of the webinar control panel there for me, and I will do my best to try to keep an eye on those and get back to, try to see what I can't do to answer those. If I don't get to it to the event, during the event, I will definitely, get to those, after the 20 minutes are up. All I ask is that we do keep the questions topical, meaning, we're talking about liabilities and pass-throughs today, meaning I'm not prepared either through my data or, in my thought process to perhaps enter other questions for you about other portions of the software. Please check the free webinars, online webinar page on our website for an event that may cover the topic or the question that you have. It's not that I don't want to answer it, it's just I may not be equipped to do so. And if you do, of course, call support, 800-533-5227. Our technicians are here right now answering questions for other users. We're always happy to help. It's only me today, so I don't have anybody helping me answer questions. So again, be patient with me. I will eventually get to your question. So again, it's just little old me, nobody else. So I appreciate your patience. All right, so let's go ahead into. All right, so we're working with version 18 here. Oh yeah, and I'd just like to remind folks, these recordings of these webinar events are made available by no later than 5 p.m. on Friday. So I think this event, it may not be up there till a week from today, but I think it's even going to be up there by 5. This event will be up there by 5 p.m. later today, Eastern Time. We're on 18.15.4. So check your version. If you're on, if you have an earlier version of 18, please make sure to install the update. I'm also going to be using the pages from the workbook, Accounting Workbook 103, and covering payroll taxes and other pass-through liabilities, and liabilities is on pages 35 to 40. And so I'm using that primarily as my guide for this event. So starting with payroll taxes, that's where we're going to start. So if you're using the Church Windows payroll program, well, not necessarily if you are using it, but if you're not using it, then I'm not sure how you would be paying or setting up your taxes. But if you are using the Church Windows program, payroll program, it does all of the payroll calculation and the debiting of your expenses, and and puts all the money into the appropriate accounts in accounting for you automatically. All of the taxes that are deducted, whether that's for federal income tax, Social Security, Medicare, FICA for both the employer and employee, any state or local taxes, all of that's dealt with. We just simply have to record the payment in our accounting system. Most of those taxing authorities are paid online these days anyway. So, once you go on to EFTPS or, your state Department of Revenue website and pay the taxes there, then you have to come into Church Windows and record it. And that's what we're going to be covering here initially. So what that means is essentially is that the calculation or to determine what your payroll taxes are starts in the payroll module. So we would go to something like, reports, pay period deductions report. I would enter something like, January 1, I'm just using January because it's a, but basically if you're, you always enter the period here that supports your deposit schedule. So, for your 941 taxes, your deposit schedule is either going to be, semi-weekly, monthly, or quarterly. So in this case, we're just going to do a simple monthly tax payment. So we're entering January 1st through 31st, go to next, and if we kind of zoom in here on the screen, maybe that's a little too far, and we scroll down, we clearly see right here under our pay period deductions report right here, 941 deposit for 23/21/38. It also shows the breakdown of that too, so where those totals come from. Okay. So yeah, then it even shows the breakdown of that over here as well. So use this report. This is true. I would use this for the same whether it was for the state taxes or local or federal or what have you. I just need to enter the date range that supports the tax period that I'm looking for. So in this case, for January, our 941 deposit is $2,321.38. So once I've determined what my actual tax liability is, I can then go into, either manage accounts, and if I go down and find my 941 tax account here and I click the balance tab, I clearly see on the right hand side under January it shows 23/21/38. Now the balance may or may not be, may not show the exact balance for you. In many cases it will. But if the balance is inflated, that's okay because it may be showing some other taxes in a later, period, in another month that are just being accumulating in that account. Think of again the liability as a holding account or an account that's just basically storing the balance of those taxes until we're ready to come in there and pay them. And the same is true for my state and local. So if I go down to my state taxes, if I were to run the report in payroll, it would show 229. And again, we've not recorded any of our payments through, June here, so that's why this balance continues to accumulate. Okay? So basically, these balances are just sitting in these liabilities waiting to pay. So when I'm ready to pay those, I would simply go to Pay Bills. No bill needs to be entered for these. This is true about our pass-throughs here that we're going to discuss here in a couple minutes or a few minutes. Once I'm at my Pay Bills, we're going to go right up here to the top and click on Quick Pay, and we're going to choose View Vendors with a Balance. And the reason why we have to choose View Vendors with a Balance is because View Outstanding Bills is only going to show me any bills that have been entered, and these liabilities balances are not being created or generated through the entry of a bill. So we have to access them another way. So we're going to choose Vendors with a Balance. Yes, it is going to show vendors that I do have bills entered for that do have a balance. Basically, it's going to show any vendor or liability that has a balance. So we notice right here the very first account in our list is our 941 taxes payable. And it has a different balance than what January or any month, individual month, says we owe. Okay? And the same is true if I go down to my state or my local taxes as well. Okay? But don't worry about that. I have to tell it how much I want to pay. Okay? So simply if we were going to go down and pay those federal taxes for January, we would just simply put a check mark in here, and we would go down and we would say choose the state tax payable, again showing an inflated balance, and simply click Create Payments. So one of the things that we have to really keep an eye on here is, one, our date. Notice it is putting today's date in there, and I'm not going to do that. You also have to pay attention to what asset account it's being deducted from. But most importantly, the system doesn't presume to know what we want to pay. So we're going to click right there in that amount to pay, and we're going to type in the 23/21, I think 78 it was. Well, whatever the amount was, we're just going to key that in. And the state was, I think, 229. Okay? So, again, once you've determined the amounts from payroll, then we should be able to come in here and literally re-enter these exactly as they are. So we're going to backdate these. We're going to go all the way back to, let's say we posted these, in the first week of February. So I can just type these in here. Again, it's coming out of my main checking account. We're going to choose our payment method as EFT. And I can record transaction comments if I wish. And then I would simply click Post. Okay? You have to enter the amount to pay. The system doesn't put in whatever the account balance is. It has no way of knowing what your actual tax liabilities are or how much you want to pay. Okay? So you have to key that in. Sure, I can choose any payment method I want, But in this case, we're going to say both the state of Ohio and the IRS we would have paid electronically. So then I would simply click Post. Then those taxes are paid. Now when I go back up to Quick Pay and view vendors with the balance, we notice that my 941 taxes payable and my state have been reduced by the amount of those taxes, by the amount of those payments. Okay? So start in payroll for your payroll amounts, and let the system tell you. And again, make sure that when you come over here that at least the balance that you're expecting, that it's showing you from payroll is showing in these accounts. Okay, if it's not, go ahead and post the payment. So if for one reason or another the account balance that you're seeing for your federal taxes or state or local is less than what you owe, but you're sure that the information from payroll is correct, go ahead and post the payment for the amount that they say that you owe. Okay? Because again, we can still resolve the issue as to why the balance is different than what it should be, but you got to pay what you owe. If you don't, then you could get in some trouble or be in some hot water and be assessed some penalties by the IRS. Okay? So pay those amounts that you owe. Call us if you have questions about that. Notice here that while we're in our view vendors with the balance, we also have some other vendors that are here. And just a couple that we're going to be discussing here are one called Disaster Relief Recovery, right down here, and our Crop Walk. So we notice there that those are number 2 accounts, 2.330.020 and 050. What makes these unique is the fact, and again, we're on the page 37 of our workbook topic, is paying money from a pass-through liability, is these are other external, outside, third-party organizations, many times other nonprofits, that the church is sending money to, usually commonly through the things like a fundraiser or a special offering, something of some kind. And these monies are credited directly again over here to these accounts, these liabilities, not through entering a bill, but directly from donations. So we can see that by going up to Transfer Donations here at the very top, and then we click on the tab called Default Account Links. So as we scroll down here near the bottom, we can clearly see right here we've got our Crop Walk giving account on the left, and that's linked directly to the liability called Crop Walk. And notice right here the one called Flood Giving is linked to our Disaster Relief Recovery. Okay, so these monies, as they're being recorded through donations, are being transferred right over into these liabilities. And the reason why we're doing that is because we don't want these monies to show on our treasurer's report at year's end as income to the church or as an expense. Okay, that's why we're doing this, is we're trying to deliberately bypass the balance sheet. Okay? Now, we don't go in and, one of the most important things about this, and so we're now ready to write the check for these, is, okay, we're ready to write the check for these particular organizations. So, before we go in and actually pay the bill, it's very important to understand that when I go down to and now we've got a specific ledger with sub-accounts called pass-throughs, and they're all liabilities. Here's my Crop Walk. So we don't want to go in here. We need to set up separate accounts for each one of these as we have them. So in this case, our 23050 account, Disaster Relief Recovery, right here under our Vendor Payee tab, let me click on Disaster Relief, Vendor Payee tab, it shows our payee in this case to be American Red Cross. Okay, so in this case, our Disaster Relief Recovery should always be, the payee should be American Red Cross. So if I can't come in here and enter one check today for American Red Cross and then use this same account and come in here next week and change that to, another company or another organization's name, because there's an audit trail that the software is trying to protect. So if you have different projects or pass-through accounts, you should set up separate liabilities and maybe even separate giving accounts in donations for those and link them accordingly. Okay? Yeah, because if I change this next week to another company and write a check for them, my previous payment to American Red Cross is going to be overwritten by that other payee name. Okay, so set up different liabilities for the different pass-through projects that the church is supporting. Okay, very, very important detail. But very similar to our taxes, you know, again, when I click on maybe my balance tab here for my disaster relief recovery, it's showing here that I've got a, here it is, we're in August, we've got a $225 balance that we're now ready to pay to the American Red Cross. Or in the case of the crop walk, our balance currently is, we're ready to clear that out, is $891.33. All right, so simply we would go back to our pay bills, quick pay, view vendors with a balance. I'm going to put a check mark next to crop walk and disaster relief recovery. Click create payments. Again, I have to click in here and type in the actual amount I want on each check. Okay, again, starting on the left, making sure my date occurred is correct. Moving across to the middle, making sure the asset account from the bank account from which the money is being deducted is correct. Double checking my amount to pay. Again, that's all driven by me. Okay. Then under my payment method, let's say we are going to produce checks for this to send off. So we're going to choose computer check. And I'm not going to enter the check number. I never enter the check number here for computer checks. Again, I can enter desired comments, and then I would do post and print checks. It'll ask me to print, do I want to print a list of the transactions I've posted? I'm going to click no. But then as soon as I'm done with that, it opens up and I have 2 checks waiting to print for both Crop Walk and American Red Cross. Okay. Again, on the page 39 of the workbook pages there, it does say a very important note. It is important in accounting that you pay only one vendor out of a liability account because of the audit trail. Okay, that's what it's all about. Is these 2 particular liabilities I'm always going to use for Crop Walk and American Red Cross. If I need another, nonprofit or another pass-through account, I'm just going to add it to my chart of accounts and link it over to my donation account. Okay. But the thing to take away from this is that, folks, we're using these liabilities as accounts to store or hold balances that we are ultimately going to pay, but the balances in the liabilities are being generated by some other way other than through a bill. We could do a journal entry and enter a balance into these accounts if we want. But in this case, these balances are being created from other parts of the software. Donations in one case and in payroll in another. And again, just to kind of solidify it in your thinking here, if I go back to pay bills and we go to quick pay, these vendors with the balance, in this case for taxes or pass-throughs, they're not going to show up under view outstanding bills. All I'm going to see here are bills, bills that are entered and posted to liabilities or to vendors, either way. Okay, but they're not going to show, like notice my 941 taxes payable isn't here, my state isn't. Again, the balance isn't being generated through a bill. Okay? So that's it, folks, for the topic there. So let me see what we've got here for questions. Again, if you have a question, type that in for me. I'll see what I can't do to answer it. On the screen only shows the type. I'm sorry, Diane, I don't know what that is. It sounds like maybe your window was locked up or something. But no, I haven't heard anything about other folks having problems with that. Again, a movie will be available on this on the YouTube channel here in the next few days or so, if not by the end of today. Are pass-throughs handled differently when 2 different people at different locations, with one handling income only and the other the expense only? Computers not linked. Whoa, Holly, I'm not sure about that. That's a tricky one. I'm not sure. That's probably a question you'll need to call me on support so I can get more details from you about that. But I mean, if in the cases of the if you've got donations on computer A and accounting on computer B, then we of course can't transfer over to the liability. It still doesn't mean you couldn't, basically where's the balance coming from in accounting? And that's the question that we would have about that. It would have to be coming from an existing fund. So yeah, that's a tricky one. I don't know if they would be handled differently. It all depends on how your income. You could post the income to the income account and then just turn around and debit it for that. That is another way to handle the pass-throughs in that case. But call me on that. I'm not sure. Marlene, how do we get a copy of this training? Yeah, again, Marlene, if you go, this presentation will be right up here. If we go to youtube.com/Church Windows Software, right here's our YouTube channel. This and other lots of other webinar recording events are listed right here on our YouTube channel, 24/7. This event will be up there at some point here in the next soon, either by today or by next Friday at the latest. Yeah, if you've not visited the YouTube channel, folks, we've got it separated by version under our playlists, by module, accounting, donations, membership, tech tips, payroll, scheduler, you name it. They're all here. You can, we notice here there's, 28 videos on accounting only, 28 on donations, all of these recordings of these webinars. 33 on membership, and we're continuing to add to this. So this is a resource page that really you should be using if you're not already. Again, www.youtube.com/Church Windows, and that'll get you there. All right, I'm not seeing any other questions coming in here, folks. So hopefully this has helped. If you do have questions, please call us, 800-533-5227. And we hope to see all of you at another Church Windows user group webinar event. Thank you so much. Have a good weekend. Take care. Bye-bye.